A day in the life of a foreman. In this video, I'm not going to talk about what typically happens, but I'm going to talk to you about what a really nice pattern would be for a day in the life of a foreman. And so do you want to know what's expected ahead of the work and the day of so you can keep your crew going, and how you can find the win-win for you and your employer? If you want to find that out, then this is the video for you. Let's go. So I love this topic. I did a video about this for Superintendent's Day in the Life of, and it was fantastic. I'm ready to do it for the other most important position on a construction site, the foreman. Everything rises and falls on your ability to get work done. We count on you. This industry is built upon your expertise. We love you, and I hope you're really going to get something out of this. So I would like to start with an overview of what happens ahead of the time when you do the work. We have seen this before, but I'll make it really quick. And then we're going to get into a day in the life of a foreman. So looking at the overall process, again, if this is the work package that you are going to build, which means that you have a certain amount of time or attack time in a zone, and this is the work or the process that you are going to actually install, we need to work back, right? So obviously the day before we are doing day planning. The week before we are doing what's called weekly work planning. And what that means is, so this is redundant P in plan, sorry, but I'm just going to write the plan here. So weekly work plan, this is the plan for the week so that you can actually make sure that this is committed in the right spot in the week, okay? And even before that, you are going to make sure that you are doing what's called look ahead planning. And they call that make ready look ahead planning as well. So this is where you make sure to get rid of any of your roadblocks, make work ready. This is where you commit on a hard date for when work is going to happen. And this is where you make any last coordination for how you're going to execute work with the other trade partners. Now there's a couple things here. 3 months to 3 weeks ahead of time, you're going to do the pull plan where you participate in the sequence. You are owed that by the general contractor. 3 weeks before, you're going to do what's called the quality pre-con meeting. This is where you are going to make sure you're aligned with all of the expectations, and then you're going to make sure all of this stuff is ready. And when you're doing the work, you will do what's called an initial inspection or a first in place mock-up, whatever you want to call it. But this is where you actually make sure that you're headed in the right direction, and everything is predicated on you working in this pattern of plan, build, finish. Just so you know, you are owed the pull plan, the quality pre-con meeting, the ability to look ahead with the team, do a weekly work plan commitment with the team, and a day plan with the team for everything you do. But the most important part of this video is the day in the life of. Let's talk about that now. So one thing that we ought not to forget in this overall cycle is that there's some point in here when foremen are going to be watching the YouTube videos on this channel. It's going to be important to subscribe at that moment, because then you can make sure it happens on a consistent basis, like the other things I'm about to talk to you about now. So in the overall process here, let's just say that this is a week and this is the week after it. So this is week and this is week plus one, okay? I want to talk about the day in the life over here, but I do want to mention that your weekly work plan and your look ahead will typically happen in what's called a trade meeting. Some people still archaically call it a sub meeting. It could be your last planner meeting, weekly work planning meeting, whatever you want to call it. I call it a trade partner because you are trade partners. You know a trade, you're an expert, and you are a partner, okay, to the team. So trade partner, weekly, so it happens on a weekly basis. Tactical, that means that you are actually using key tactics to stay on schedule and plan work. So I call it the trade partner weekly tactical. In here, this is where you do your, and I'll just do MR look ahead plan. So make ready look ahead plan and your weekly work planning. So you should, in this meeting right here, and I'll highlight this blue, have a plan, and this is key, from this day all the way to the next Friday. So I always say 2 Fridays from now, if not all the way to the other meeting in that next week, however you all like to do it. But either way, you need to make sure that this plan is all figured out. So if you have an activity, and I'll just go ahead and write this activity, like you have an activity that happens on a Wednesday, that should have been a commitment as a part of the Trade Partner Weekly Tacticals look ahead plan and weekly work plan that you committed to. But let's go through this day in the life of. If you're working with a good general contractor, this is how it's going to look. Let's say we're talking about Wednesday. You are going to participate in what's called an afternoon foreman huddle. This is really key, and if you know why it's in the afternoon, I think you'll be able to make a change wherever you go. So I'll explain that for you right now. Everything in a work package should be ready before you actually get there. So if you're doing the work package here, you need to have the plan, the people, and yes, you guessed it, the tools, the materials, and the equipment and the information all ready by the time you hit the ground in the morning. I hate when we do the foreman huddle in the morning because you're planning work that has already started and you will only create variation for it if you change it. So when we look at this work package concept, it needs to be the afternoon before. So the afternoon foreman huddle is to make sure that you have, like I already said, the people, the tools, the equipment, the materials, and the layout. And I'm just going to do info as my last one. There's more to it for the next day. So you would, at the end of the day, turn in your daily reports if you're following the system right. Go through and have coordination with the other foremen, and then get any permits or safety paperwork ready. And if there's anything that has to be gotten from the shop, you know, diesel or materials or anything else like that, just as a last minute, if you don't already have it, you can do it the day before so that you can be with your workers that morning. So there's a key thing that every job should have. In the morning, you'll start with what's called the worker huddle. Now, you might not like this, but this is crucial for job site success. Let me see if I can change your mind. A worker huddle done by a really great general contractor will involve all of the trades on site from the parking lot to the huddle area where they do the stretch and flex, they talk about the plan for the day, provide shout outs, ask for feedback, do 2 minutes of training, do an overview of the key plan, where are their deliveries, what are some key things, and the biggest safety focus for the day. If the general contractor does this, then you will have an entire united one team approach to the job. The reason that's important to you is because you only succeed if everyone succeeds, and everyone can only succeed if they're all on the same page. So allow your folks to go to this 5-10 minute huddle and be looped into the overall part of the project. After that, this is called the crew prep. So this does not need to be any specified amount of time, but what you'll do, you will do your stretch and flex in here, you will fill out your pre-task plans, you will get your quality feature of work boards, you will likely have your team's 5S and eliminate the 8 wastes for their areas. Basically get ready, again do 2 minutes worth of training and make sure that everybody knows what to do. I think this is the most important one because this is how your crew leaves to go do their work in the morning. So they're oriented to the job, then the task at hand. You, as a foreman, day in the life of, should have come, and yes, I said should, from your house with a good morning routine. This is what I recommend, that you get up, you do your normal thing, your hygiene, your breakfast, your walking the dogs, your exercise, your coffee, whatever the case may be, and you add a concept called box breathing. We'll link you in the description below to the method for doing box breathing, but really being able to get centered, and then on your way to work, listen to some education material like a book or a podcast or something like that, and then come make your plan, let the folks go through the worker huddle and get them started. What you do after you go through the crew prep is you walk if you have multiple crews or just one crew, this is called zone control. So I'm going to put ZC. And what this is when your crews are working in their zone, and let's say they're working here, you're going to make sure that they're finishing and punching as you go. That's the time to tell them, and that you're seeing what needs to be prepared out ahead. That happens in the morning before you go on to other tasks. Typically throughout the day, you'll have 3 habits that real builders do. You'll be in your plans for 15 minutes. Number 2, you'll be in your schedule making work ready and orienting and aligning materials and everything that your crew needs, preparing them. And number 3, doing the walks that you need to see what's going on. I remember a great story of a foreman. He told me, Jason, look at that foreman. What do you see? And I was like, he's working with his guys. He's like, that's why he's always behind. He has his head below his backside. He's always tying rebar. I, as a foreman, am always just bringing materials and information to my people and preparing work. That's why I'm always on schedule. And I've always remembered that example from my past. And so a great crew leader, a great foreman will always make sure that he or she is reading the plans in the schedule, preparing work, and doing walks, feeding the crew with the materials and information that they need. The one thing that I want to put in here, which is big, which isn't typically talked about, I'm going to put a big T for training. Either making sure that crews are being trained by a mentor or that you're doing training. So you should have enough capacity to make sure that you're enabling your folks to do things right, and there's nothing wrong with checking in with each of your folks to make sure that they are following quality expectations. Halfway through the day, you'll have lunch. Most of your accidents will happen after 11 a.m. because crews get tired. So I like to do a check-in in the afternoon here sometime and really get them focused on in the afternoon. Cleanup, organization, staging for the next day, preparation when their minds have less discipline than they had in the morning. And that's when you can attend the Foreman Huddle again, turn in your daily reports, make the plan, and then get everything prepped for tomorrow, including permits. The key thing is that there's a great day in the life. You plan the next day, you start your day right, you come in to the worker huddle, get your crew set in the right direction, make sure they have their preparation and finish lists for zone control, do some training, take some time for yourself to plan and prepare, check in with them after lunch, and while you're in the foreman huddle, they can be cleaning and staging for the next day. This is the ideal day in the life of a foreman, and I hope you love it. And in fact, we're going to put this on a Canva graphic for you, and we'll also link you to the book Elevating Construction Foreman, which I know you love, and also invite you to come to our next foreman boot camps that we host at Elevate, which are phenomenal. I hope you have enjoyed this video. I love you all. On we go.